On tonight's show, here for iSports Radio, we talk about the Draymond Green situation. He's being suspended indefinitely by the NBA. We talk about what's next for him, the Warriors, and the league himself. Plus, speaking of the Warriors, what should they do to refix their team? They're out of the playoff race picture right now, and Steve Kerr made some adjustments to their starting lineup. What else can this Warriors team do to get back above 500? Plus, the Detroit Pistons have lost 20 plus straight games. What can they do to get better? We'll discuss that and much more here live on iSports Radio for your direct feed for all his sports. And you're welcome to join us. And welcome, however you listen to us here tonight. We got like a loaded show here for you for iSports Radio. Sorry we come in a little bit late. We're just trying to figure out the speaker issue, but I think we're okay. So, thank you for tuning in and listening tonight. I'll talk about, like I said, Draymond Green, that situation, him getting suspended indefinitely by the league. And we'll discuss, for him and the Warriors, where they go from here. But, D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir? Ari up in Pittsburgh, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Getting used to this weather, but everything is pretty good. My Magic did take a loss earlier today to the Celtics, but they've been playing extremely well. So things have been going pretty well for my sports teams. And as happy and sad I am about this whole Bucks thing, they're playing good as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, y'all handled the Packers pretty well today. Baker had a big day for y'all. On the other side of the fence, my Titans went up 13-0 and lost overtime on the last-second field goal. And our potential rookie quarterback got hurt in the process. So, there is that. But, switching gears, and sometimes we put the main subject of our show like in the 30-minute mark of our show, but I think this situation has got to be talked about right here and right now. Draymond Green. I don't know how you want to phrase it. Star for the Warriors, key player for the Warriors, has been suspended indefinitely for his excessive, I guess what you want to call it, flagrant behavior. And we don't know how long he's going to be out. The Warriors, they don't really know. And this is not a suspension by the Warriors, by the way. This came from the league office. So I don't know if it was Adam Silver, Joe Dumars, or somebody else in that office came down with this suspension. This was after Draymond hit, let's see, let me get his name correctly. Jusuf Nurkic of the Phoenix Suns. Green popped him in the face. Nurkic fell down. Draymond was ejected after that, and then came the suspension the day later. D-Lock, we kind of talked early on this season. Draymond yoked up Rudy Gobert. In the tussle between Minnesota and Golden State earlier. He has done other things throughout the past few seasons. What'd you make of this? I mean, what's your opinion about Draymond being suspended? From the league, and what do you think is going to come out of it in your eyes?
Well, I think that this is something that probably been supposed to have been done. Draymond plays like he's playing football on a basketball court. Some of the stuff he does is just hilarious. I mean, because it's kind of what he did against Sabonis. Like, how you gonna step on a guy and step on him again and then jump off like you couldn't land your foot nowhere else? This most recent incident, you're just swinging your hand, just your arm super duper hard, and now it hits somebody, or hit Nurkic. So for me, he's been doing stuff like this for a while. He just continues to act upon it, act this way. The situation of Rudy Gobert was just completely out of hand. The scuffle before that kind of gave him the reason to act as such, and for him, and it resulted in suspension. So it's like he's not learned a lesson right now, and this is something that he needs to learn from now, and definitely means he has to get things situated before he can get back on the court. And Draymond was one of the guys that was the defense of this team and played a big part. But right now, he's doing a hell of a lot more hurting than help. And it's showing. Yeah. So, for me, I think that, how he's playing is not helping anything. And, let's be clear, like, you're talking about maybe 30 years ago, basketball was different. Hell, 20 years ago. They're cleaning up a lot of things. The way you play is a lot different than then, or than back then. So for me, this is something that we continuously hear him. Oh, well, it wasn't intentional, and this person was just here, and I had to swing my head here, my hand here, or this, that, and the third. Like, Warriors are 11-14 right now. And when you do have an anchor on your defense, such as Draymond now out indefinitely, it's not going to help what the Warriors are trying to do. So there's a good chance that Draymond may be traded. I don't know who goes and takes him, because he he is being physical, but entirely too much. But who's gonna take him and accept that, and seeing that he is gonna continue to act like this, because he get technical fouls and ejected almost every couple of games at this point. That's just it's so bad that you might as well start putting bets up on if he's gonna get ejected or not. So, or you could bet the over under on how many technical fouls he get per game. So, hopefully something good comes out of this for Draymond. Right now, he's making decisions that is hurting his team, and I hope he realizes that.
I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Mike Pat. Shout out to Marcus Los. Great in the chat. They got a couple comments in here I want to read off real quick. Marcus saying, what he did here recently. It was a straight move out of MMA. That foot stomp to Sabonis last season was crazy. Mike brings up this point here. And I want to get your thoughts on this comment, D-Lock. I think he still has that chip on his shoulder from being undervalued coming into the league as an undersized big and falling to the second round. Now he still feels he has to prove his toughness and fight everybody. And that or he has serious anger issues. What you think about that? Do you think because let's be real, he's been in the league for what? What, a good 10 years or so?
Yes, sir.
Let me pull up the stat. Let me pull this up real quick. He's been in the league for a good 10 years or so. So, and a lot of second rounders, don't make it even that long, to be honest with you. If we're going to be real about that. And Mike, yeah, you're right. Well, you're off 1 year, Mike. He came in 2012. So, I don't think it's the anger issue. I mean, I don't think it's the coming to the league because when he came to the league, pretty solid. I mean, how he is defensively, but offensively he was okay. But that offensive skill kind of with the wayside later on in years. And when he resigned with the team, he made big money. So I just really can't say that he has that chip in his shoulder for being drafted in the second round. I mean, he was drafted 35th overall. Not a bad place to be drafted at. I mean, if you draft in there, you were kind of on a borderline first round pick. And he turned that second round and made himself a big name in the league. A champion. Multi-millionaire. Flipped to a deal with Turner podcast. So for me, you got the $82 million deal. And mind you, when you get a second round pick, your contract is shorter than for a first round pick. So in 2015, he got the $82 million contract. Granted, live in California, you get taxed all the hell living out there. But still, you got the $82 million contract, from the Warriors. And this past all season, we talked about, him getting $97 million again. So, he makes some good money playing. But, Marcus brought the next comment. If Draymond has serious anger issues, why is he never outside the basketball court? That's a good question. That's a good point. He never had domestic issues or fighting outside the court. Good point. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is with him in the basketball court. D-Lock is he slaps these fools around and stuff like that, or kicking the balls or whatever, trying to do like slick things, and it's like the detriment to him because he getting fined and hitting all this money. I kind of wonder how much money, all the fines he has accumulated. I wonder if that totals out to at least $1 million. No, that's a little too high. That's
I think I was watching a show, I believe, a couple of days ago. It was over. I think it was over $2 million.
Oh shit.
I believe it was $3 million. I'll do my double check with that. But that is what I've heard. I believe it was around there.
So damn, over $2 million in fines and stuff and suspensions. Well, in this economy, $2 million. Yeah, it's good, but it's like, But still, $2 million, you can do some things with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right now, from what I see, it says he has lost over $2.5 million in fines.
That's kind of sad. That's sad.
Yep.
You losing $2 million in fines and stuff. That should be a wake up call. But you know what's so funny, D-Lock? We've been saying he needed a wake up call for a long time. But you know who I put responsibility on? Management, the coaching staff. Because this dude really, really has never been punished by that organization. They never, like, you never see Steve Kerr make public slide comments about Draymond in the media and stuff like that. Like you see, like a George Karl, Phil Jackson, back in their coaching days, Slave Six stuff in the media and stuff like that about their players and stuff like that. But you never see with Draymond. Yeah, I don't know if they scared this dude or whatever. But Steve Kerr never really commended this dude in public. And it was very telling. We talked about this last year with the Jordan Poole situation. Draymond never really, he got suspended and stuff like that, yeah. But it was like a slap in the wrist that what happened with Jordan Poole. And I hate that, they kind of scapegoated him through all the other issues they had on the court, and threw him under the bus. I hated that for Jordan Poole. And that's why I'm kind of going back to coaching. You guys had some reassurances there. You got to tell Jordan Poole, hey, run plays for Steph unless you're open. Take the shot, whatever. But I put this on the management and coaching as well. Draymond got to stop this stuff too. Run around like he's invincible and stuff like that. And this is where we at now.
Well, it goes with like having the yes man. You get all these guys around you. We know that we like the physicality that he brings to the game because he makes a big difference on the defensive side for Golden State. We've seen how they look when they don't play any defense, and when his presence isn't known. So we get that part. You got to make your presence known, but some things don't need to be done. Well, hell, a lot of things will need to be done, and these are things that needs to be respect him for a lot. Well, maybe this is one of the times that we maybe need to hear Steph say, well, hey, he needs to address this more as well. And that is something that could raise a lot of antennas, because you're kind of being that friend that looking out. You're kind of being that friend that's looking out for your friend by being honest. Now, obviously, maybe they had a conversation, without cameras being around, without social media being, or people recording and asking questions. But these are things that need to be said. And to your point, that front office, they need to pay close attention to that. I mean, the biggest thing that showed you that how they felt about it is when they shipped away Jordan Poole after the situation. Like, that whole situation told you who played a huge part of who they value more. And for me, they should have had that figured out. I mean, I think that you move Jordan Poole kind of gave a wrong sign in my eyes. So to me, I think that, like, I agree with you. If you have people in your corner, they got to be telling you, hey, look, this shit ain't cool. Like, we want you to be physical. We want you to let them know that the president's here. But nah, bro, like, this not always gonna work. And it even goes with talking to the refs. This guy gets technical fouls almost every damn game. Now, we do know what happens in the playoffs. Eventually, if you get enough text, you get ejected, and then you get suspended the game.
Yep.
So, I mean, let's not forget about the NBA Finals, where, he called LeBron something, and now he gets suspended, and that played a huge part in the results in that NBA Finals. So, that is something that is very, very important. And I think, to your point, all these other, teammates, front office, they need to hold them accountable for it.
I think we're kind of past that point. I think Steph maybe says something, but publicly, but it's like, dog, we're kind of late for that. But I mean, look where we're at now. They gave a dude a $97 million contract, in which, okay, yeah, Jordan Poole had issues, stuff like that. Okay, you move on. Hey, cool, whatever. But you almost had a get out of jail free card, letting Draymond just walk in free agency. But you brought him back. And now, there's reports saying they may look to trade Draymond, whatever. If you run a league, like, why I'm taking a 33-year-old, a 3-year younger version, 4-year younger version of PJ Tucker? And look where PJ Tucker's at now. On the bench collecting DNPs for the Clippers.
Yep.
That's what Draymond that's what he is. He's like PJ Tucker. And I don't think, nobody's going to trade for that. Our brother Drewski said on Twitter, like, I don't think that would be a smart move for Dallas to make. Because they put the odds of where he might get traded to, and Dallas is like one of the spots. And Drewski said, that don't make no sense. So, I know the Warriors may change that lineup. Since Draymond been gone, Wiggins is through the bench. Kuminga's in the starting lineup. But it's just like, what are we doing? Where are we going from here? It's not the bad roster construction with this team around Steph for the past couple of years. It's time to rear its ugly head.
Yeah, I mean, it's showing, especially when you have somebody that is getting ejected every 2 or 3 games.
So, real quick, what would you do with Draymond wherever his suspension is back? What would you? I guess as a coach, what would you tell him, or what rules would you set with him on his return? What would you do as a coach? What would you tell him? Like, hey, this was going to be, or I'm sitting you to whatever. What would you tell Draymond when suspension is lifted?
Well, I'll first let it be known that if you have any issues with the referee, you need to walk towards the bench. Not necessarily come and sit, but when you want to respond and have, your response or disagreements with these refs, you need to come and walk towards the bench or whatever the case may be, because arguing back with the referee is not helping anything. And on top of that, you're already on thin ice when you play. So you do a little nudge or anything like that to the player, that is something that they're looking for, because you already have a history of, doing too much or going overboard. So the first thing is, when you do get these tacky calls, which is going to happen in the NBA, especially, like I said, especially for him, we need to have you have a different kind of a different response, because you talking to the ref is not going to do anything but put you in a worse situation. Now, granted, you want the players to, have a debate, or this is all I did, the X, Y, and Z, but Draymond is not in that situation anymore, at least not right now. When I mean he's on thin ice, it can look like he is talking back to a player and he's going to get a foul. So at this point, or he's going to get called out for it. So at this point, he has to walk a straight line, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to break a habit before the playoffs come around. Because if you continue this habit, he's going to get suspended or he's going to miss a game, which could be a very important game. So to me, one of the biggest things is, listen, this debating back and forth with the refs, let us do that, not you. We'll take the technicals, we'll take the ejections or thrown out of the game as coaches or whatever, because this is something that you cannot afford. Being suspended indefinitely, hell, I don't think John Morant was suspended indefinitely. When he did what he did, that tells you how bad of a situation this is. So for me, the biggest thing is just the response of trying to correct a referee or respond. That is something that definitely isn't happening, or I definitely wouldn't fly my way. I honestly, as far as the physicality, listen, I'm not against that. Just at this point, this dude is 33 years old. Some things you think you wouldn't have to tell him. I would say, listen, just don't overdo it. I mean, you know what you're doing. Because some stuff he can clearly say, oh, well, this person was in my way or they were holding my hand. Like, he's overdoing it. He knows exactly what's going on. The past few things that has happened, he knows. For me, keep it light. And also, any altercation with any players, players getting these little, feuds or these little altercations, he doesn't need to be no part of that. His teammates can say, well, you wasn't there to protect us at this point. That ain't your job no more right now. Because that ain't something that you can handle. You can't even walk over there and separate the players. You can't do that shit. So your best bet, if anything happens, come right back to the bench. It's kind of like I'm treating him as if he's in timeout for the most part, or he's a problem child, which in a sense, that is what he's doing. So my biggest thing overall is to have him avoid any kind of confrontation, because the NBA is watching that. Everything that he's doing, they're watching. So they're waiting for him to say something to a referee, or they're waiting for him to get a harsh foul. Like, they're waiting to do that so they can tack on more fouls and more suspensions. So when he does come back, these are things that he has to monitor. And for me, this is a repeated thing that I literally tell him. I will have to tell him every game. He'll get tired of it by the second week of games. But hell, I have to let him know every game. Look, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Because clearly, just a warning is not helping. So any confrontation with anybody, Draymond cannot be a part of if I was a coach.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's just like, you're trying to say this stuff, but, you know, we're here. You know, I'll say this on a side note. I know these other players and stuff don't get fined and whatever or suspended, but sometimes I think this is why Draymond has gotten away with it so long. Like, nobody really kind of went back at him. If you're being real about it, nobody going back at him. Like when Nurkic got knocked down, and I hate how he stayed on the ground so long like that. But get up and kind of push on the back or something. Tell me he ain't taking that shit. You know? I ain't talking about like be like a fake tough guy and all that stuff. Like a Billy Badass or something like that. But just like, hey, show him what's up. Tell him you here. I mean, that's for any player. Really. You know, Marcus brought up Sabonis. You know, tell him, have it in your mind. I got a receipt for his ass next time we play him, or whoever. I just hate how some of these dudes let him punk him like that. Or just do punk him like that. So, like I said, I agree with you said. You know, you gotta tell him, hey, don't say nothing. But it's just like he feel like he got to say something all the damn time. And I think that's the problem. So, you know, why he does what he does, I don't know. Why he feel like he should do what he does, that's a good question. So I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know what's going to be back. You know, and for the team aspect of things, this team below 500, they got the Blazers tonight. Now, is that like a gimme win? No, but you know, losing Draymond, and you got a player like Jeremiah Grant who's been playing pretty okay for the part of the season. You know, it's going to affect things. And while we say on the Warriors, D-Lock, let's pivot to this. What should the Warriors do trying to refix this roster? Because besides Steph, everybody else has been kind of been like ho hum. Nobody's been really sticking out. Klay Thompson, he's been benched a couple times. We're talking length about Draymond. You know, guys like Moody, Kaminga, they've been okay. The rookie for Santa Clara, uh, Podziemski has been okay as well. I like to see him get more consistent time. And then you got your role players like Looney, Sarich, Peyton, all that stuff. You move Andrew Wiggins to the bench. How do you envision fixing his roster? Or is this something you got to wait till the offseason to do? Can you do like a patch job at the trade deadline?
But with this team, this team is loaded with guards. So, going to get a Chris Paul, hell, you would think, they would have a different approach during the draft or, during the season. But for me, they need to get some more bigs. I mean, we don't know exactly when Draymond is going to come back, but you're going to need some defensive help, I would think. Corey Joseph hasn't done too much for them. You're probably going to need more from Andrew Wiggins, who has been very inconsistent as well. To be honest, man, I'm probably looking at moving Chris Paul, him or Corey Joseph. I mean, they can do, something for them, but like you said, the rookie, he's actually playing. Brandon has been playing pretty well, getting some more minutes. Would love to see more from Jackson Davis. Sarr can play good, but he's not that much of a defender. So you're probably going to need some more defensive help. But it's kind of like this team is geared to play small. And that's fine. But now when you play against teams like the Lakers, who went and got a Christian Wood, and they could play with a hell of a lot more bigs, like they're going to run into issues, and I think this could be something that the Warriors could run into. And this is what they're struggling with. So, but when you have a player like a Draymond who makes that big of an impact, be suspended or miss games, now you run into these other issues. Because there's a time where you can take out Kevin Looney, you can move Draymond down to 5, and you still have that enforcer on the court. But now that is missing. And, you don't have any bigger guys on that team like that. Kuminga is not that damn big. So now, like I said, you go against teams like OKC, others, like, of course they're going to do damage to them. They don't have that many guys like that can stretch the floor. So I would think possibly look into a trade during the season. And they had some bigger guys as well. That's the thing. They had a couple of them. They just, kind of messed that up. And for me, I think that you're going to rely on the guy that you have, but making a trade is probably something they're going to have to look into big time, especially before the trade deadline.
I think it's just like it's tough to. Yeah, you can move Chris Paul, somewhere to get a piece or whatever. But I think he's on an expiring contract, if I'm correct. But I think there's other issues. Klay Thompson, his play hasn't been, exciting for at least the past couple seasons. I mean, there's been bright spots here and there, but there's times he been kind of lacking. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's a free agent, and I know there's been floating contract offers out to him, but he's not really been excited about it. But what are you gonna do? And think about it. I don't think they fully trust Moody to fill in for that 2-guard spot to let him walk. You already traded away Jordan Poole. So I don't know what it may have to take an off season to get fixed. And it's too many other teams you're ahead of you, excuse me, that I don't think you can lap. The Lakers are ahead of you. The Timberwolves are ahead of you. Denver, OKC. Now Minnesota, OKC are two young teams that are kind of above you right now. Dallas, they're ahead of you. Sacramento, the Clippers, who've been kind of find their way a little bit. The Pelicans, they win against Spurs today. Houston, Phoenix. Granted, Bradley Beal's gonna be out again for a long period of time.
Yeah, shaking my head.
So all those teams are ahead of Golden State right now. But one thing that all those teams I just named out got young talent. Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Luka Doncic. Jokic ain't like young talent, but still. Jamal Murray, Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, who went for a career high.
Oh my God!
Did you have him in FanDuel?
I you know what? I didn't even play that night. That's a good thing because I would have been pissed if I did not have him against a team that give up a lot to power forwards in the Utah Jazz.
Keegan Murray had 47 points with 12 for 15 for 3-point land.
Wasn't De'Aaron Fox out that day too?
Yes, they had Keon Ellis on that point guard.
See, yep.
The Clippers, granted, they got a lot of older talent, but as we talk on the show, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, when they healthy, are one of the two best players in the league. Let's be real about that. We're talking at least top 15 in the league. Harden as well. New Orleans, we talk about them. The Zion can find himself, there'll be a deadly team. And I like some of the young guys that got on the squad as well, like Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniels. I do like those guys. Houston, we talk about Houston during the summer. Yeah, they added Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. Excuse me. But the young guys that got on there, Torrey Eason, Sagoon, Green, Ken Whitmore, Thompson, Jabari Smith. The Lakers, yeah, they got LeBron and AD, but Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. And you look at the Warriors. It's just Steph. And at one point in time, you kind of could include Klay Thompson there, but the injuries and his play has kind of played a factor into that. And look where they are now. Below 500 and looking for answers. And I always said on this show, they screwed up the 2 timeline deal. Because like I said, I think Steve Kerr can develop young talent. And if he didn't want to do young talent or didn't want to develop them like that, trade the damn picks away to get varied pieces into your liking. I'll let you have the last word.
I mean, right now, like I said, it seems like this team has a lot of changes that might have to be done. Um, but even I think when they played against OKC, like it just seemed like their time might be done. These other teams are starting to, OKC is a very scary team, very scary team. These teams around the West are starting to catch up and put things together. Like you said, the Clippers are healthy. They're one of the harder teams to beat as well. In fact, Warriors and Clippers just faced each other a couple of days ago, and the Clippers, got that win. So, I believe James Harden had a hell of a game. So, again, they're gonna have to retool this roster a little bit because hell, all the point guards can't. You put 5 point guards on the field. They all can't have the ball in their hand at one time.
No.
You need somebody to come in and play, to help on the other side, play defense, be able to run the offense as well, or play in the offense that the point guard runs. So, getting a Chris Paul, that seems like it hasn't panned out like they wanted. So for me, he's playing pretty decent, but they're not looking that successful right now. And these younger teams are starting to put pieces together, and as they continue to do that, it's going to make it a hell of a lot harder for them to, win games. And now you got one of your best players, that makes probably the second most impact on the team outside of Steph, now being suspended indefinitely. So, which hell, I mean, you could have seen this coming after he punched Jordan Poole. Like it just, I mean, we've seen him play physical before, but that alone should just let you know this guy just, just does what he wants. If he punches his own teammate like that, what the hell you think he's gonna do to everybody else? That's not his teammates. So, but retooling this roster looks like a idea that they need to get into. We've seen the Splash Brothers for so long, it'd be hard for us to see them not be on the same team or that three. If you see Draymond in a different uniform or see Klay Thompson in a different uniform, and that's obviously possible, and it might be for the best, to be honest. So that front office, Steve Kerr got a hell of a lot of things to think about because do they keep this team and obviously not go in the direction that they want, or do they make some adjustments and some moves? Because them coming off that championship against the Celtics, we thought that this team was going to continue to make runs, and it looked like they're going in the opposite direction.
And that championship they won probably was part of their last gasp. It's part of their final stand. And you probably argue that it maybe should have been more titles in the run, but and hell, they should have had more, maybe had more. They may have more titles in the run, maybe because of Draymond. Like you mentioned about the finals against Cleveland, him getting himself suspended, and then the whole KD situation. Granted, yes, Kevin Durant got hurt, but ladies and gentlemen, I mean, Draymond did not make Kevin Durant's existence, helpful there. If you would have kept KD there, how many more titles would have gotten with KD and Steph there?
That would have been a different, that would have put them in a different realm, So I actually did see a video where it was saying the reason why KD left, and it's a full video of Draymond just getting into it with KD. So, but to your point, having Kevin Durant there, how would this team look? How many rings would they have?
So that's another thing, the KD the factor there. All that good stuff. But like what Mike said in the chat, he watched Draymond might get traded to the Wizards and be reunited with Jordan Poole. Who knows? But D-Lock, I do want to talk about this team here. The Detroit Pistons. They lost yesterday to the Bucks. They lost 23 straight games. They got the Hawks tomorrow, who really ain't playing their best. They got the Hawks tomorrow, the Jazz on the 21st at home. And then they're playing Brooklyn on the 23rd. And then they got the Nets again at home on the 26th. The Celtics on the 28th at Boston. And to finish out the year, they got the Raptors at home. First off, do you see a win in those games I just laid out to you? And secondly, what do you think is going on with this squad at this juncture of the season right now?
Well, for me, I think that I don't know what the hell going to do. Everything is just completely going backwards for them. This is a very young team, and it just seems like they're not clicking at all. I mean, you look at their previous losses. You lose to Milwaukee by 30. You lose to Philly by 30. Have a close game with Philly prior to that. Close game with the Pacers. Then get dropped by my Orlando Magic by 30. Then you lose to the Memphis, who is terrible right now as well. Like, they cannot put it together at all. Inconsistency of using the Bogdanovich, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Wiseman. You got three bigs trying to squeeze in minutes. And then you got all these damn guards, and Cade Cunningham and a couple other guys. It just seems like they cannot get their chemistry going. I've said many times about teams. What bothers me about a lot of teams is when you try to fit in so many guys into a rotation that you can never catch just the chemistry. This team leans a lot on Cade Cunningham, but then you got Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser. Like, you have a lot of players, but you have to have chemistry with your core group of about, you got 5 guys that go on the court. You probably need to minimize how many guys you put in this rotation to keep the chemistry going. Because like I said, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley, like, all these guys can't go out here and get you 10 to 12 rebounds a game. Like, that is entirely too many minutes that you're squeezing between these guys. So, I think this team is the biggest thing is that this team is very young. And it just seems like they have to get things going. Because I definitely had high expectations. I ain't gonna sit here and say, hell, I had them going to the playoffs, but I definitely wasn't expecting them to be sitting here looking at 2-24. Like, with Monty there's no way. Coming off the run that he made in Phoenix and the expectations, I thought that he was gonna make it. I was thinking that he was gonna have a huge part, which he is. But but I feel like it's going to take some time. But it's also buying into the system for these players, being the fact that they are some young guys, and also, like I said, you get your unit of your rotation. Hell, you don't have to put your unit together like it's the damn playoffs. Like you can't be putting all these guys in rotation. Minimize that to 7 to 8, maybe 9, and let these guys get used to being with that rotation and get this chemistry going because they are not like right now. You have lost all these damn games in a row. This streak is crazy to even see that. What is that? They are 23 games straight.
Yeah.
So, like at some point, you just playing ball. Like it now, it's kind of like they're just like, man, we expect to lose, so we just come here just to play. The expectation is dropping, and they're gonna have to get. I don't think they lose the rest of their games. Hell no. But with this streak going, they're gonna have to get some kind of positive out of this. And like I said, I think they play the Hawks. Like you said, they play the Hawks tomorrow. That's def. I think they lose that. I do see them possibly, depending on who is available with Utah, I do see them possibly being in a situation where they can get a win with Utah. Brooklyn, they compete as well. But now you're looking at Boston, which is going to be a tough one. But this team got to get it together, man. I mean, you look at some of these losses, like losses. I mean, come on. You let Milwaukee put up 146 points. You let Philly put up 124. You let Philly put up 124 and 129. You let the Lakers put up 133. Toronto 142. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, there's no defense. So, this team got to get these things together. And it's going to take some time for them to get that. But they got to, there has to be some kind of positive thing that they got to get going because right now, you're going to have the Hawks. Maybe they start out with stealing one there or, beating Utah. But hell, after this little run, I mean, you got Boston, you got Toronto, you got Houston. You just talked about Houston, talked about Golden State. You got Denver, Sacramento. Like, it's gonna get pretty tough. So they got to get the ball rolling some type of way. But it just seemed like nothing is not clicking right now for them to close the game out.
Real quick for me, I think for the slate of games, I mean, Utah is a good possibility that you could get a win. I mean, it could be there. The Hawks, I mean, there's a good possibility you could get a win tomorrow. The Nets, I mean, those 4 games, the Nets, Hawks, and Jazz, I think there's good chances you can win. But like you alluded to, like the losses they have, all been double digits, except for the Pacers ones. Like most of these losses have been double digits. And then, but the thing is, like when they play these teams, like some of these players get off good stats off of them. Like the Pacer game, for example, Mathurin had 30 points off the bench. 30 points off the bench. Joel Embiid, who's been killing it so far this year, 35 points, 13 rebounds in one outing. Your Orlando Magic from earlier this month, Banchero had 24, 27 for Wagner. Dane put 30 plus on him last night. So it's just like no defense there with this squad. I know Bojan's back in the lineup, but excuse me. But it's just like no offense, no defense. When teams get up to a certain point, they're done. And like you mentioned about the rotation and stuff like that. I don't know what Monty's looking at sometimes. For some reason, Killing Hayes is still in the starting lineup for whatever reason. Like you mentioned, they got Sean Rada. Like I told Killing Hayes. I told Joe Harris, Marvin Bagley out there. Hey, yeah, y'all, I don't sit y'all and see what else I got. Alec Burks was playing okay for the first week and a half, and then he got hurt and he ain't been playing well. So it's just like I don't know with this team, and I think something to keep an eye on. Could Monty Williams be a one and done coach? I know this team is young. I know this team, is not going to make the playoffs like you alluded to. But still, though, like some of these guys been in the league for a couple years now, and you really can't piece it together. And I don't know. And we talked about this with Monty in the past. Does he have a good connection with his young athletes? You know, is his style good for these young ball players? We see Mikal Bridges get traded to Brooklyn, and he's posting up good numbers. DeAndre Ayton, he had his issues with him to the point he didn't want to be there no more, but, restricted free agency. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know when this team will get another win. They trying to ask for like a lot for Bojan, but if I'm like a competed GM out there, I'm not giving a whole lot for some dude. Kind of like I don't say the same breath as Draymond, but it's like he's in his mid-30s. Why am I giving up multiple first-round picks or whatever to get a guy that's kind of slumming with y'all? But I don't know. I mean, Asher Thompson, I like him a lot. He's been playing pretty well. Kay Cunningham has been all right. It seems like they need like a true point guard because I don't think Kay Cunningham is that guy at point. But you see out the clip, like Jaden Ivey, they kind of butted heads early on. He had James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley compete for the backup big spot. I watched him play the Bucks earlier this year, D-Lock. I seen Isaiah Stewart taking 3-point shots. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that don't make no type of sense.
It's like, what? If you were a 3-point shooter before, just don't. Not everybody could be like Brook Lopez and develop that type of deal. I was just like, what are we doing here with this squad? I like Marcus Sasser. I think he should be getting more minutes. You know, and I don't know, man. It's just like I hate it for Detroit fans. You know, they're a prideful, bunch, and I hate to see it like them like this. You know, and if they and it seems like the one year they're trying to tank hard like this to get a solid draft pick. There's no Brandon Miller or Victor Wembanyama, coming out in this draft class coming out. But I don't know about Detroit. I I put the odds of this on Monty Brown being not Monty Brown, Monty Williams being fired after 1 year. I'll give it right now. I'll give at least 40% odds.
Yeah, I think that he's in a situation where, like you said, the younger players are not buying in or believing. There's a very good chance that he's not gonna last, and they'll start over and pick somebody else. And and to your point, there isn't anybody in this draft that make you be like, okay, cool, like this is what this is what you're tanking for. Unless hell, you're trying to go out to Bronny and get LeBron, but I mean, what the hell? So
LeBron ain't gonna let that happen.
Yeah, but to me, there's a good chance, like you said, they could continue losing like this. Because what happens is once this starts to happen, if you lose that locker room, it's a wrap. At that point, once they are done, they're done. Man, we could talk about how recently, I believe it was Khalil Mack talking about they still believe in Brandon Staley, their head coach, and that
shit
that didn't work. So at this point, my mind, like, they're gonna have to start stacking some W's or eat W's, as Jameis used to say. They got to figure out something because right now it ain't looking too good. And the longer the season goes, especially in Detroit, it's just like, oh hell. I mean, you got all these other plays. You waited for Cade Cunningham. Remember, he was hurt last year. So now that you got him, you guys can't get things going. Now you definitely, it makes the front office definitely question coaching.
And then, one more thing before we get off here. Like all those young guys there, and nobody's really sticking out. And I think I mentioned this in our preview show. A lot of young guys there. So it's got to be like a little bit competitive to kind of, I could be better than that guy. Like I look at James Wiseman, like I could be better than Marvin Bagley. I know I am. Yeah, I might be better than Jalen Duren. Jay Ivey, same thing. I damn sure know I'm better than Killian Hayes. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Sassy, I know I can contribute this team. Why am I getting DMPs?
And that's what I mean. Like, you have to find your core. And maybe this is a conversation we have now, and then a year from now, hell, this team might look like the damn Magic, but we are where we are now, and we have to see what it is right now. And they got to get it right, man. I mean, right now it's looking terrible, and it's always going to be like, damn, okay, another loss, another loss, another loss. Like, I'm pretty sure that gets aggravating over time. And imagine going to practice or what those losses, like the conversation after those losses. Like, I mean, what do you really? There's nothing that you can say, honestly.
So yeah, only reason I gave it 4% odds of Monty being fired after 1 year is because the contract he signed. If they ain't giving that big contract, I think they could be moving on sooner. But I think, given the situation is, but I think that GM should be let go. To be honest with you, but I think at least he gets another year. If they lose, if it gets to a point they lose a whole bunch of games in a row, I think they might let him go. But I think the contract kind of saves him a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. If he gets fired anyway, he gets his money. So it is what it is. Real quick to go over some scores for today in the NBA. Real quick, the Magic lose to the Celtics 114-97. The Pelicans defeated the San Antonio Spurs 146-110. Blazers, Warriors have tipped off. Warriors are up 12-9 in the first quarter. And the Warriors starting off with Kamiga, Looney, Curry, Thompson, and Podziemski at the starting lineup. So they're still going that same lineup there. Wizards are up on the Suns on the road, 58-46. Remember, no Bradley Beal for the Suns again, with Kuzma leading the way with 12 points. Take it back, Trey Jones leading the way for 15 points. Kuzma has 12 for the Wizards. I'll get to USC here in a second, Taryn. Durant, 13 points for him. 10 points for Devin Booker. 9 points off the bench for Eric Gordon as well. The Bucks are up on 7 against the Houston Rockets. With Giannis with 26 points, 15 rebounds. And shout out to Giannis having a career high against the Pacers and then acting a damn fool after that damn game against the Pacers. That was really unnecessary, but it is what it is. Dame, 36 points for him and 11 assists so far with 2 minutes left. For the Rockets side of things, 19 for Van Fleet, 18 for Dylan Brooks, 16 points off the bench for Uncle Jeff Green, and Torrey Easton, 11 points off the bench as well. To go to the college side of things real quick, D-Lock, before we get out of here. Colorado State beat Colorado State Pueblo 86-54. Illinois beat Colgate 74-57. To Saturday's action, Texas beat LSU 96-85. Miami, 24th ranked, beat LaSalle 84-77. Kansas squeaks by Indiana and Bloomington 75-71. 21 points for McCullough Jr. to lead the way for the Jayhawks. Despite getting 28 points for Galloway for the Hoosiers, Kansas pulled away at the end. Michigan State beat down Baylor. I watched that game. They beat their ass. 88-64. Baylor couldn't really get nothing going. Michigan State played strong defensively in that game. They really put the hammer to them early, and they finished them straight through for the rest of the game. James Madison, football team, has played well all year, and the basketball team is playing very well right now. 88-71 over Hampton. Houston defeats Texas A&M 70-66. Memphis, who right now is 8-2, playing pretty damn well, defeated Clemson, who was previously undefeated, 79-77. And shout out to Penny Hardaway and Memphis. I know people seem like they want Penny to fail because of the way he came in with Memphis, all that stuff. But when he's doing good, no one really talk about how good job he's doing right now. So I do want to shout out Penny out right there. FAU beat St. Bonaventure 64-54. Purdue wins against Arizona 92-84. With Zach Edey having 22 points, 9 rebounds. And a name to kind of keep an eye out for, Braden Smith. Kind of becoming like that second half dude for this Purdue team, which they could go a long way for them in the tournament come March.
Yeah.
Because he had that big second half against Alabama when I watched. And I think he was the key for them winning that game, in my humble opinion. But also, you got 27 points for Lawyer as well for Purdue. And a big-time win for the Boilermakers there. That probably should put them in number 1 in the country, in my humble opinion. Kentucky beats North Carolina 87-83 in the CBS Classic. Northwestern beats DePaul 56-46. Virginia squeaks by Northeastern 56-54. I wish Tony Bennett would kind of switch up his offensive philosophy because he always get put in games like this, and I feel like he could have had at least more decent runs in his time in Virginia. That's my opinion. Alabama went up to Omaha and lost to Creighton 85-82. I can't talk about that team right now. Oklahoma beats Green Bay 81-47. BYU beats Georgia State 86-54. And Tennessee beats NC State 79-70. And to talk about this game a little bit, Auburn beat USC 91-75. The terror is poured by USC men's. Should you be worried? I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, you got Alabama State on Tuesday in Montgomery. So you could beat them. And then, you got conference play after that, playing against Oregon and Oregon State. So if you can't use Alabama State and I talked about this, I think, was it last week? We talked about this last week's show about Bronny's debut.
Yeah.
I think if you come out the Alabama trip 1-1, but use the Alabama State game, and nothing's guaranteed, really. Let's be honest about men's college basketball. Nothing's really guaranteed. I mean, State could beat them, but if you at least come out this trip 1-1, and if you beat State handily, kind of figure out some things offensively and stuff like that, maybe tinker with the lineup because the backcourt is kind of fine. It's just that front court part for USC has kind of really been the Achilles heel this year. Like Collier and Bookie Ellis, they fine, they straight. Wherever you get out of Bronny this year, cool. I think that's always been the plan. But the front court, though, Rodman, Morgan, Wright, um, Vincent, Awachukwu, if I pronounce that correctly, it's just like, some of those guys that really grasp that brass ring down low. And I think that's Terry, that's should be your concern, that front court for USC. And if y'all don't get the front court situation figured out, then you're not making the NCAA tournament unless your guard play gets hot come conference play and takes you all the way there. But if you don't get that front court situation figured out, compared to some of these other teams, especially on conference, guys like teams like Utah, Arizona, Colorado got some nice bigs. And then if you look into the national field, Indiana, Purdue, Kansas, Kentucky got their big man. His name escapes me right now. You figure to all that, and your front court play ain't up to snuff, then it's gonna be a long season for them. But I think to answer your question, the front court is your main issue. That's your concern for USC men's hoops.
Yep, that's gonna be a big concern for them.
So, but hey, at least you got the women's though. Juju Watkins, I love her. So
yeah, she's great right now. She looks like she's gonna be one of the ones that's gonna make a big difference come tournament time.
And I put money on this. I think she could be in the running for Player of the Year. I know they probably got that shoe home for Caitlin Clark, but if Juju can play consistent, do the conference play, all that stuff, I think she can make a case. And I think, when Caitlin leaves, I think you need a new face of women's college basketball, and I think it could be her. Her, the Betts girl in UCLA, I like her a lot. And, I think they got the assistant committed to go there next year as well. So, a lot of good hoops in Southern California on the women's side. And Taryn brought up, USC losses are Auburn, Oklahoma, Gonzaga, USC Irvine, and Long Beach State. Pretty, reasonable losses. Long Beach State, UC Irvine ain't no scrub schools. Gonzaga, we always talk about. Oklahoma, Power 5 school. Auburn, Power 5 school. So, fuck Bruce by the way. But anyways, all that stuff, I think it's got to get USC. They got to get things figured out. So we'll see about them. And we'll probably talk about them later on throughout the season as well. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us here on a pretty lengthy episode here of Fast Break for iSports Radio. I know next week is Christmas Eve, so I know I'll be busy with work. D-Lock, do you have any travel plans on Christmas Eve?
Still putting them together. Like I said, I just got to Pittsburgh trying to get a few things handled. So I may end up being back in Florida, but we'll see.
So we'll keep y'all posted if we go live or not on Christmas Eve. Probably not, because that's family time, all that good stuff. But we'll see. Or maybe do like a couple videos on X, Twitter, whatever, and just go from there. But thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Thank you for the chat. keeping us busy here tonight. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. That is on Twitter and on Instagram, DLock813. Let them know they can find you at the show's page.
Find the show's page on Fast Break IESR on X/Twitter. That's Fast Break IESR on X/Twitter. Do follow IE Sports Radio on all your social media feeds. X/Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find us on Spotify, YouTube as well. Also, do check out iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. A lot of good people doing a lot of good things with this network. The volleyball is in, I think that championship rounds. Do check out iSports Radio for that. Terry Rodriguez for that. Football season winding down. A lot of shows in the network. You know, cover teams in the playoff hunt. Buffalo, Philly, Miami, Jacksonville, Houston, Dallas, NorCal, the 49ers. You name it, we got it. Do check out iSports Radio for your latest news and shows times as well. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. Follow me on my other show, The Crooks Process, at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, The Crooks Process. Till then, like I said, we're not live next week. Like I said, we'll put some videos out for the holidays. Till then, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.